The glow of the 6-year-old laptop illuminated my face, reflecting the relentless calculations and lines of code scrolling across its screen. It was 2003, and the apartment I shared with a roommate barely qualified as habitable, but it was the incubator where Reed Technologies was being born. My mother, bless her heart, would visit every other week, bringing Tupperware containers filled with home-cooked meals that sustained me through all-nighters. She'd sit quietly, humming gospel tunes, careful not to disturb my concentration, but always offering a reassuring smile and a gentle squeeze of my shoulder.
Oh.
She never truly understood what I was building, this complicated world of algorithms and servers, but she understood the drive, the hunger that fueled it. That drive, she knew, came from her. She had sacrificed everything for me, cleaning houses in affluent neighborhoods, enduring the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, condescension of her employers. Every ache in her back, every blister on her hands was a testament to her unwavering commitment to my future. She pushed me relentlessly to excel in school, constantly reminding me that education was the key to unlocking doors that would otherwise remain firmly shut. When I received my acceptance letter from MIT, it was her tears of joy that validated all the years of struggle. She even took out a second mortgage on our tiny house, a financial risk that terrified her but one she willingly embraced. Her faith in me was absolute, a bedrock on which I built my ambition. The early days of Reed Technologies were a brutal grind. We were competing against established giants, companies with deep pockets and years of experience. I subsisted on ramen noodles and sheer willpower, coding day and night, constantly refining our algorithms, seeking that elusive breakthrough. I learned to navigate the shark-infested waters of venture capital, pitching my ideas to skeptical investors facing rejection after rejection. But I never gave up. I couldn't. My mother's sacrifices weighed heavily on me, a constant reminder that failure was not an option. Slowly, painstakingly, we began to gain traction. Our AI solutions were innovative, efficient, and surprisingly affordable. We landed a few small contracts, providing data analysis for local businesses. These early successes fueled our momentum, allowing us to hire a small team of talented engineers, all of whom shared my passion and dedication. Word of mouth spread, and soon we were attracting attention from larger companies. The turning point came when we secured a contract with the Department of Defense. Our AI-powered surveillance technology proved to be significantly more effective than anything currently on the market. This contract catapulted us into the big leagues, transforming Reed Technologies from a scrappy startup into a legitimate force in the industry. Buyout offers started flooding in. Silicon Valley giants, recognizing the disruptive potential of our technology, lined up to acquire us. But I wasn't interested. I had built Reed Technologies from the ground up, and I wasn't about to sell it off to the highest bidder. I wanted to build something lasting, something that would make a real difference in the world. I also wanted to ensure that my mother would never have to clean another house again. I vowed to repay her sacrifices 1,000-fold. The years after, the DoD contract were a whirlwind of growth and expansion. We moved into a sleek, modern office building, hired hundreds of employees, and continued to innovate at a breakneck pace. Reed Technologies became synonymous with cutting-edge AI and robust infrastructure solutions. We were the company that everyone wanted to work for, the company that everyone wanted to partner with. Our reputation preceded us, opening doors that had once seemed impenetrable. Among the suitors vying for our attention was Whitmore Holdings, a behemoth in the tech industry built on a foundation of old money and generational wealth. The Whitmores were a household name, their influence extending far beyond the confines of Silicon Valley. They were known for their aggressive acquisition strategy, snapping up promising startups and integrating them into their sprawling empire. I had always been wary of them. The reputation was that they often devoured smaller companies, stripping them of their unique identity and stifling innovation. But their offer was undeniably tempting. A merger with Whitmore Holdings would provide us with access to their vast resources, their global network, and their formidable market power. We could scale our operations exponentially, reaching new customers and tackling even more ambitious projects. The courtship process was long and arduous. We spent months in negotiations, poring over term sheets, haggling over valuations, and debating the finer points of the agreement. The Whitmores, led by the formidable Eleanor Whitmore, were shrewd and demanding negotiators. They wanted everything, and they were willing to play dirty to get it. Eleanor, the family matriarch, was a figure of immense power and influence. She had inherited the company from her father and had skillfully steered it through decades of technological disruption. She was known for her ruthlessness, her unwavering focus on the bottom line, and her disdain for sentimentality. She was the epitome of old money privilege, radiating an air of entitlement and superiority. I found her personally distasteful. Despite my reservations, I recognized the strategic value of the merger. It was an opportunity to take Reed Technologies to the next level, to solidify our position as a leader in the industry. After weeks of deliberation, I decided to proceed with the deal. A $766 million merger was agreed upon. The contract was signed between lawyers, but a dinner party would be held for ceremonial reasons. We finalized the terms and scheduled a formal signing dinner at an exclusive country club just outside Greenwich, Connecticut. It was to be a celebration of a new chapter in Reed Technologies' history, a moment of triumph for me and my team. I decided to fly my mother out for the occasion. She deserved to be there, to witness the culmination of all her sacrifices. Wanted her to see the fruits of her labor, to bask in the glow of my success. She could see the old money crowd and know that her boy had arrived. The country club was everything I expected it to be: ostentatious, exclusive, and dripping with old money privilege. Expensive lighting illuminated manicured lawns. Crystal glasses sparkled on pristine white tablecloths, and a string quartet serenaded the guests by the appetizer table. The air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and quiet arrogance. I felt out of place, like an intruder in a world that was never meant for me. But I held my head high, determined to project an image of confidence and success. My mother arrived looking radiant. She had chosen a simple yet elegant pearl-white dress, paired with delicate gold earrings and a pressed shawl. She exuded grace and poise, completely unaffected by the opulent surroundings. I was immensely proud of her. She was the embodiment of everything I admired: strength, resilience, and unwavering dignity. I seated her beside me at the head table, eager to introduce her to the key players in the Whitmore organization. The Whitmores arrived 45 minutes late, fashionably tardy, as if to indicate their superior status. Eleanor Whitmore led the charge, her face a mask of practiced indifference. She barely acknowledged my presence, her eyes scanning the room with a critical eye. When she finally turned her gaze to my mother, her expression shifted from indifference to thinly veiled disdain. She looked my mother up and down, as if assessing her suitability for the surroundings. There was no warmth in her eyes, no hint of genuine curiosity. It was a cold, calculating stare that made my blood run cold. Throughout the evening, Eleanor ignored my mother completely. She didn't offer a greeting, a handshake, or even a simple nod of acknowledgement. She spoke to everyone else at the table, engaging in polite conversation about business, politics, and social events. But she pointedly avoided any interaction with my mother, treating her as if she were invisible. The snub was deliberate, calculated, and deeply disrespectful. I tried to steer the conversation in my mother's direction, sharing anecdotes about her sacrifices and her unwavering support, but Eleanor would simply steer the conversation back to more appropriate topics. Dismissing my efforts with a subtle roll of her eyes, the atmosphere at the table grew increasingly tense. I could feel my anger simmering beneath the surface, threatening to erupt at any moment. I wanted to confront Eleanor, to demand an explanation for her appalling behavior, but I held back, reminding myself that this was a business dinner, that the merger was at stake. I attempted to maintain a semblance of civility, but the effort was becoming increasingly difficult. I could see the hurt in my mother's eyes, the subtle signs of humiliation that she tried so hard to conceal. I knew that she was deeply wounded by Eleanor's blatant disrespect. That's when it happened. The dessert course arrived, a decadent confection of chocolate and cream. As the waiters began serving the guests, One of them approached my mother and whispered something in her ear. I couldn't hear what was said, but I saw the color drain from her face. Her eyes widened in disbelief, and a look of profound sadness washed over her. Quietly, she stood up from the table and walked towards the back of the room, her head held low. I watched her go, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew that something terrible had happened. I excused myself from the table and followed my mother to the back of the room. I found her standing near the restrooms, her shoulders slumped and her eyes filled with tears. "Mom, what's wrong?" asked, my voice filled with concern. She hesitated for a moment, then revealed the devastating truth. Eleanor Whitmore had complained to the staff that my mother was making guests uncomfortable by sitting at the head table. She had requested that my mother be relocated to a seat with the assistants far away from the primary stakeholders. The words hit me like a physical blow. The sheer cruelty of Eleanor's actions. The woman who had sacrificed everything to make this moment possible, the woman who deserved to be celebrated and honored, was being treated like a nuisance, an embarrassment to be hidden away. My anger reached a boiling point. I wanted to storm back to the table and unleash my fury on Eleanor Whitmore. But I knew that wouldn't solve anything. It would only validate her prejudice, confirming her belief that people like us didn't belong in her world. Instead, I took a deep breath, trying to regain control of my emotions. I wrapped my arms around my mother, holding her close. "I'm so sorry, Mom," I whispered. "This is unacceptable. I won't let them treat you like this." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with gratitude and pride. "It's okay, Donovan," she said softly. "I'm used to it. It doesn't matter." But it did matter. It mattered more than anything. In that moment, I made a decision. The merger with Whitmore Holdings was over. I would not associate myself or my company with people who treated my mother with such blatant disrespect. I would not allow their bigotry to tarnish the legacy of Reed Technologies. The $766 million deal meant nothing compared to the dignity of my mother and the values I held dear. I returned to the head table, my face a mask of calm determination. I sat down in my chair, took a sip of water, and waited for the right moment to speak. The conversation around me continued, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. Eleanor Whitmore was holding court, regaling the other guests with anecdotes about her family's philanthropic endeavors. Her voice grated on my ears. I tried to tune her out, focusing on the image of my mother standing alone in the back of the room, her eyes filled with hurt. Finally, the moment arrived. The waiters began pouring champagne for the formal contract toast. Eleanor Whitmore raised her glass, preparing to deliver a congratulatory speech. I stood up, interrupting her mid-sentence. "Reed Technologies is off this table," I announced, my voice clear and firm. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me, filled with confusion and disbelief. Eleanor Whitmore's face contorted in a mixture of anger and shock. "What did you say?" she demanded, her voice trembling with rage. "I said, Reed Technologies is off this table," I repeated, my gaze unwavering. "The deal is off. We will not be merging with Whitmore Holdings." A stunned silence hung in the air. You could hear Eleanor's pearls tighten around her neck. Her husband, a portly man with a perpetually bewildered expression, stood up, his face flushed with confusion. Their CFO, a slick corporate type with slick-back hair, tried to interject, whispering numbers and legalities in my ear. But I ignored him. I'd already instructed my lawyers to pull the term sheets mid-dinner. We were waiting outside, ready to deliver the official termination. "Notice, you can't do this," Eleanor shrieked, her voice rising in pitch. "This is a binding agreement. You'll be sued for breach of contract." "Sue me," I replied, my voice laced with ice. "I don't care about the money. I care about respect. And you have shown my mother, and by extension my company, none." I turned to my mother and extended my hand. She took it without hesitation, her eyes shining with pride. Together, we walked out of the country club, leaving the stunned Whitmores and their entourage in our wake. The headlines exploded the next morning. Reed Technologies CEO pulls out of $766 million merger over racist mistreatment of his mother, they screamed. The story went viral, spreading like wildfire across social media. People were outraged by Eleanor Whitmore's behavior, praising me for standing up to her bigotry and defending my mother's honor. The backlash against Whitmore Holdings was swift and brutal. The fallout from my decision was immediate and far-reaching. Investors pulled out of Whitmore Holdings like wildfire, their stock plummeting 29% in one day. The family lost 3 more. Deals by the end of the quarter, their reputation tarnished beyond repair. Eleanor Whitmore became a pariah, shunned by her peers and subjected to relentless public scrutiny. The incident served as a stark reminder that even the wealthiest and most powerful individuals could be held accountable for their actions. As for me, I became an overnight hero. I was lauded as a symbol of integrity and courage, a CEO who put his values above profits. My company's reputation soared, attracting even more talented employees and lucrative contracts. We were flooded with partnership offers from organizations that shared our commitment to diversity and inclusion. The decision cost me millions of dollars, but it was the best investment I ever made. It solidified my reputation as a leader with principles. We signed a new partnership with an inclusive firm based out of Chicago. Better terms, better energy, better values. The new partnership allowed us to expand our reach and impact, focusing on projects that aligned with our mission of using technology to make the world a better place. We developed AI solutions to combat climate change, improve healthcare access, and promote social justice. We created a workplace where diversity was celebrated and everyone felt valued and respected. My mother, of course, was overjoyed. She was initially worried about the financial implications of my decision, but she quickly came to realize that I had done the right thing. She got the last laugh, sitting front row at our new headquarters ribbon-cutting ceremony, where I named the central atrium after her. The Evelyn Red Atrium, the plaque read, dedicated to a woman of unwavering strength, grace, and love. Her face beamed with pride as I spoke about her sacrifices and her unwavering belief in me. I had lost a $766 million merger, but I had gained something far more valuable: the unwavering respect of my mother, the unwavering loyalty of my employees, and the unwavering commitment to my values. I had learned that true success is not measured in dollars and cents, but in the impact you have on the world and the legacy you leave behind. And as I stood there, watching my mother bask in the glow of her well-deserved recognition, I knew that I had made the right choice. The Whitmore family might have had generational wealth, but I had something they could never buy: a mother's love and a clear conscience.